Hi guys, you're welcome back to yet another interesting tutorial. My name is Stella. Now we're going to be making this lovely dress with little alterations. The first alteration is that the sleeve is not going to be a cold shoulder sleeve, but it will start from the shoulder. And the second one is that it's going to be a long dress. Okay, it's not going to be a midi dress. Now let's jump right into the pattern drafting proper. So in my previous video, I took time to draft the half scale basic bodice block and we altered it to an armhole princess dart. Now I'll drop the link in the description box if you have not seen that video yet. Trust me, it is super detailed, straight to the point, easy, okay, and it's highly applicable to everyone and every body size. All right, now in this video we're going to be altering this pattern to our style. Now let's look at the fabric, the materials that we're working with. So here's the lace that we're working with, and here's the raw silk. I'll be using the raw silk as my interlining and as the lining, and here's the ribbon that we'll be using to lace the back, and we'll be using this zip as well. Now let's jump right into the pattern alteration. So we're going to be altering the neckline. Now the shoulder width I want is 2.75 inches and the neck depth for the front is 4 inches. Remember, from the shoulder tip, I came inwards by 2.75 and I made a mark there and I dropped the neckline on the front with 4 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and connect my neckline. Yeah. And here we have it. Now we need to tighten the neckline, and there are two methods. The first method is for you to come down from your shoulder by 0.5 inch and you connect it using a straight line to your shoulder tip. All right, and the second method is for you to draw a straight line from your bust point to the neckline. Okay, just like I'm doing. So you just draw a straight line this way and you come inwards by 0.5 inch and you also connect the line back to your bust point. Now, the whole essence of the tightening is to give you that perfect fit neckline that will not gape at all when you bend. Okay, so these are the two methods. Either of them will tighten your neckline perfectly. So I'll go ahead and highlight them. Remember, I said the first method is from your shoulder, you come down by ½ inch and you connect it back to your shoulder tip. Okay, from your neckline width, come down by ½ inch and connect it to your shoulder tip. This is it. So what that means is that this tiny space on top that I'm shading will no longer make use of it if this is the method that you're going for. And the second method is for you to draw a straight line from your neckline to your bust point. Okay, and you come out by ½ inch and you will also reconnect it back to your bust point. So we will also not be making use of that tiny space that I just shaded. So when it's time, we will close it and reblend the neckline. Now, these are the two methods of neckline tightening. So either of them will tighten your neckline perfectly and give you that result that you want. Okay, but for this particular video, I'll be going with this second method. Okay, so that we'll look at something new this time. All right, now let's move over to the back neckline. So remember, on the front, the shoulder width we use there is 2.75. So on the back, we're also going to mark our 2.75 inches from the shoulder tip. Now the neckline depth that we're working with for the back is 7 inches. All right, so I have my tape placed on the starting point and I'll make a mark at 7 inches. Now we'll go ahead and connect it, but before then, from our new armhole, I will come inwards by 3 inches. Okay, so you remember, shoulder width of 2.75 and I mark 3 inches downwards, and the neckline depth on the back is 7 inches. Now I'll go ahead and connect all these points and we will proceed. All right, so this is the neckline. Remember, from here to the new armhole, I came inwards by 3 inches and our shoulder width is 2.75 inches. Now we need to tighten the back shoulder with 0.25, and this is our standard method as well. So you mark your 0.25 and use a straight line to connect it back to the shoulder tip, and this is it. So this tiny space on top, it looks small, but it's going to make a huge difference on your outfit when you're done. So this is it. Now I'll go ahead and separate the two patterns so that we will make further alteration. And here it is. Now we will keep the front aside this time around and let's focus on the back. Now we're drafting this pattern. Remember that this is for a dress. So from the center back line, we will come upwards by 0.75. Okay, so we're going to further contour the waistline of the bag so that we will have that perfect fit waistline. Now, before we connect this, I'll try and close the back waist dart. Remember, in our previous video, the easiest way for you to close your dart is to raise your pattern paper from the side towards the center. Okay, so I'll come in with a straight line and I'm going to connect from that 0.75 mark that we have on the center back line to the side back. Okay, so this is it. I will also go ahead and highlight this. Remember, from the center back line I came upwards by 0.75. okay, and this is it. So this tiny space there that I'm shading off, we are going to be cutting it off because we don't need it anymore. All right, and this is it. We're done with the back alteration. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. Now we will need to through the armhole dart. Remember, the essence of this is so that your pattern will be equal when it's time to join. Okay, so that one side will not be longer or shorter than the other. So you raise your pattern paper along your marked line, okay, just like I'm doing, and then you rest it on the second line. Now if you pay attention, you will see that the line, the armhole curve is running through. This alone tells you that our pattern drafting is accurate. So I'll proceed to finish up my cutting. And here we have it. The back is ready. Now I'll go ahead and label this pattern. Okay, so here is my center back line. All right, and here is the side back line. Now I also like to use arrows to indicate the joining line. Now the final thing we're doing on the back is to go ahead and blend the side back. Remember, if you don't blend it, that area is going to puff on your outfit and you don't want that. So just come in with your ruler and you draw a straight line at that very sharp point, okay? And you simply cut it off. Now you can fold it in, but I like to just cut it off since we're not going to make use of it anyway. And this is it. The back pattern is ready. Now I'll keep this aside and I'll come in with the front pattern. So this is it. Now the first thing we're doing on the front is to go ahead and cut. All right, now I'll go ahead and cut all the way to the bust point. Now I'm stopping on the bust point area. Remember, the reason is for us to close the bust dart and to close our neckline tightening. So I'll go ahead and close my neckline tightening. Remember the method. So you raise one of the legs up and you rest it on the second one. It's that simple. Okay, now can you see that the neckline is no longer running through? So I'll come in with my curve ruler and we're going to reconnect the neckline. So let me tell you the result that will happen when you do this. Your neckline is going to be beautiful, perfect. It will sit well. It won't gape at all. If you try to pinch your neckline, you will not get anything there. It will be lovely. All right. So this is it. I have reblended the neckline and you can see we have a better neckline curve now. So I will go ahead and use my paper tape and I will tape down the neckline tightening perfectly. Okay, so this is the one that we are going to be making use of. Remember, I said that you can either make use of this method of tightening or the one on your shoulder. And I have decided to make use of this particular tightening. So that simply means that I will ignore the tightening on the shoulder. Okay, so this is the one that we're making use of. That's the summary of the English. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut on my shoulder. I will not cut on the 0.5 inch that we just came down with on the neckline. So this is it. Now I will go ahead and close my bust dart. Okay, and you know that the method of closing the bust dart is still the same process. You raise your pattern paper along the marked dart line and you rest it on the bust point line. Remember, it was this way and I raised it up along the marked line and I'll go ahead and rest it on the bust point line. So I'll come in with my paper tape as well and we're going to be closing that down the bust dart permanently. All right, and here we have it. Now, if you remember, when we were drafting this pattern, I made use of broken lines. Okay, this is because we will still blend the side front. And I also used 0.5 inch to tighten the waistline. And I made a mark by the side as well. So I'll go ahead and reconnect all these points. All right, so I'll go ahead and connect from the chest line to the ½ inch that I used to tighten the waistline. Okay, and if you don't understand this, the drafting method, I'll leave the link in the description box for you to see. Now let's move over to the bust point area, and as usual, I will blend that area. So I'll go ahead and blend it. Now the process of blending, you will first place your curve this way, and you need a curve line that will run through from your under bust line to the dark leg that is coming from the armhole. Okay, just watch what I'm doing. You need your curve to run through, all right, this way. If your curve does not run through, that area is going to be pointy when you're done. That's the only thing. Okay, so if you're worried about this tiny space that we just removed, we're going to be adding our side seam allowance, so it will take care of it. All right, we're after a perfect fit that will look professionally tailored, or you don't want any form of pointiness or bulging of any part. Okay, so now let's go ahead and through the armhole dart. So it's still the same process. Raise your pattern paper along the marked line and you rest it on the second line. Now, if you pay attention, you will see that we have just a tiny space there. Okay, so one of the legs is a bit longer than the other. So you can choose to ignore this, but you know, I like to just get it right. Okay, so I'll just use my curve to reblend this. Okay, and this is it. I have reconnected it back, and I'll just go ahead and highlight it. And that's it. We have trued all our darts. Now I know you're worried about, oh, we're doing a lot of dart truing. It's important so that you don't run into issues when it's time for you to join this pattern. So I'll proceed to cut, and we'll be transferring to the fabric.
Yeah.
Here we have it. Now I'll go ahead and label this pattern. So here's my side front, and this is the center front. All right, now our pattern set is ready. So a pattern set is simply when you have cut out your back pattern and your front pattern. So you call two of them your pattern set. All right, so I'll go ahead and transfer this to the fabric, and that will be it. Now let's look at the skirt part. Remember that this is a dress. So here's the skirt. I have gone ahead to draft my basic skirt. Now let's label. So this is the front skirt block. All right, and I have added my side seam allowance to this. I have my 2 inches side seam allowance added. I also added my ½ inch allowance. Now I closed the dart. Okay, so I closed the dart and I made use of our skirt drafting method. Okay, so here the hip was not divided equally. Now if you've not seen that video, oh Lord, you need to see that video. It's super detailed. Okay, it's a video that will answer all your questions. All right, so so this is it. Now here's the back skirt block. So I'll go ahead and just label that for clarity's sake. Okay, and here's my center back line, and this is the side back line. Now because I'm working with a lace, I went ahead to close the dart. All right, I feel that when you're working with a lace, it looks a bit somehow, this is my personal opinion though, holding your dart on a lace fabric. Like I said, it's my personal opinion. Okay, now I added my 1 inch zip allowance on the center back line, and I added my 2 inches slit allowance. Okay, so the length of my slit is 22 inches. So I'll just go ahead and measure it, but the length of my slit is 22 inches. Okay, so this is it for the back. I also added my side seam allowance. Now, if you don't know where your slit will start from and you want to replicate what I've done, from the knee line, I simply came down by 6 inches. All right. Now, like I said, this is if you want to replicate exactly what I have done. And here we have it. Now this is it for the pattern drafting of this lovely dress. In the next video, I'll go ahead and transfer all our patterns to the fabric and we'll be sewing it in details, step by step as usual. All right, now here's the finished look. So in case you're wondering what it looks like, this is it. Thank you guys for watching. Kindly subscribe to my channel if you have not, and drop your comments and your feedback in the comment section, and you're certain that I will respond to it. Till we meet again in the sewing video. Bye.
Yeah.